Nestled high in the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, a place steeped in history and shrouded in mystique, stands Baalbek. It's a site unlike any other, a breathtaking testament to ancient ambition and engineering prowess. But it's also a site that poses a profound, almost unsettling question. How? How could anyone, especially those living thousands of years ago, have possibly constructed something so monumental? Forget your typical ancient ruins. We're not talking about crumbling walls or modest temples. Baalbek is on a different scale entirely. Imagine colossal stone blocks, some weighing over 1,000 tons, perfectly fitted together to form a massive platform. Picture towering columns, reaching towards the sky, remnants of temples dedicated to gods long forgotten. This isn't just impressive, it's almost unbelievable. As you approach the site, the sheer scale hits you. You feel dwarfed, insignificant, standing before something that seems to defy logic. The stones are so large, so perfectly placed, that it's hard to wrap your head around the idea of humans, mere mortals, having created this. It's as if giants, or maybe even something else, were responsible. The most famous feature of Baalbek, the one that truly ignites the imagination, is the trilithon. This is a trio of stones, each measuring around 62 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet thick. Individually, they're impressive, but together, forming part of the foundation of the Temple of Jupiter, they are simply mind-boggling. Imagine trying to lift something that weighs over 800 tons. That's more than a fully loaded Boeing 747. Now, imagine placing 3 of those stones with laser-like precision several meters above the ground. How? Theories abound, of course. Some point to the Romans, who later built their grand temples on top of the existing platform. The Romans were master builders, renowned for their engineering skills. But even with their advanced knowledge, moving stones of this size would have been an extraordinary challenge. Did they somehow inherit a pre-existing structure, a foundation, laid by an even earlier civilization? And that's where the mystery really begins to deepen. Who built the original platform? Who moved these colossal stones? And how did they achieve such precision without the benefit of modern technology? The more you look into Baalbek, the more questions you uncover. Just a short distance from the main temple complex lies the quarry, the source of these incredible stones. Here, you find another piece of the puzzle, the stone of the pregnant woman. This single block of limestone weighs close to 1,000 tons. But even more astonishing is the fact that it's not alone. In recent years, archaeologists have discovered even larger blocks in the quarry, including the Stone of the South, estimated at over 1,200 tons, and the Forgotten Stone, clocking in at a staggering 1,500 tons. These stones are unfinished, abandoned in the quarry as if the builders simply gave up. Why? Were they too heavy to move? Did some catastrophic event halt the project? Or did they realize, perhaps too late, that they had bitten off more than they could chew? The presence of these unfinished monoliths only adds to the enigma of Baalbek. The scale of these stones is truly beyond comprehension. They dwarf anything else built in the ancient world. They even make modern engineering feats seem less impressive. It's hard to fathom the sheer effort, the logistical challenges, the manpower required to move something so massive. And that's the central question that has captivated researchers, historians, and even casual observers for centuries. How did they do it? How did ancient builders, without cranes, without heavy machinery, without the benefit of modern knowledge, manage to move and position these colossal stones? Was it brute force? A sophisticated system of levers and pulleys? Some lost technology? Or could there be a more unconventional explanation? The stones of Baalbek stand as a silent challenge to our understanding of the past, a constant reminder that there are still mysteries waiting to be solved. They beckon us to explore, to investigate, to question everything we think we know about ancient civilizations. Baalbek isn't just a collection of old stones. It's a gateway to the unknown, a portal to a past that is both fascinating and perplexing. It's a testament to human ingenuity, or perhaps something more, and it's a place that will continue to inspire awe and wonder for generations to come. Join us as we delve into the mysteries of Baalbek, exploring the monumental stones and sparking the central question of how they were built. Because understanding this enigma might just change the way we see the ancient world. The megaliths of Baalbek stand today as silent giants that have witnessed countless civilizations rise, flourish, and eventually fade away. To truly understand their story, we need to journey back through time, carefully piecing together a timeline where one culture replaced another, each reshaping the site in their own way. Archaeological evidence suggests that human presence here dates back as far as 9000 BCE, meaning people have been living on this hilltop for at least 11,000 years. Imagine that. Excavations have uncovered ceramics from the Chalcolithic and early Bronze Age, alongside architectural fragments from the Middle Bronze Age. How many places in the world can boast such a deep stretch of human history layered in one single spot? Early on, the first settlers occupied the very summit of the hill, and much later, even the Romans carefully placed their altar exactly on that highest point, almost as though they too recognized the importance of what came before them. The site's name itself offers a clue. Many scholars believe Baalbek may have come from the Semitic phrase Baal Nebek, meaning Lord of the Source, a reference to a well that lies not far from the sanctuary. Could it be that this well once made the hilltop a sacred place of life and abundance? By around 3200 BCE, the Phoenicians had established themselves at Baalbek, and with them came a spiritual and cultural flowering. They raised a grand temple dedicated to Astarte and Baal, the sky god whose name the city likely carried. Beneath the towering ruins of the later Roman temple of Jupiter, traces of this Phoenician temple still remain, like hidden whispers of a forgotten world. Under Phoenician influence, Baalbek was not just a city, but a destination where pilgrims gathered to honor Baal-Hadad, the god of fertility, and Atargatis, the goddess of love and motherhood. And here's where things get interesting. Many researchers wonder if the colossal stones that Baalbek is famous for, the trilithon and other enormous blocks that form the base of the Western Wall, might actually date back to this period. While science hasn't settled this mystery with certainty, the possibility alone sparks the imagination. Could people living over 5,000 years ago really have cut, moved, and raised stones of such staggering size, some weighing hundreds of tons? And if they did, how exactly did they accomplish such a feat without the technology we take for granted today? We'll dive deeper into possible construction theories later on. But first, let's continue our historical journey. When Alexander the Great swept through the region in 334 BCE, Baalbek entered a new chapter. He renamed the city Heliopolis, the city of the sun, weaving it into the wider fabric of Greek influence. Not long after, in 64 BCE, Pompey the Great brought it under Roman control. By 47 BCE, Julius Caesar had already made it a Roman colony, giving it prestige and connecting it to the heart of the empire. Then, under Emperor Augustus around 16 BCE, Rome launched its ambitious building program, and the sleepy hilltop began to transform into one of the grandest sanctuaries of the ancient world. Interestingly, the Romans didn't erase what came before. Instead, they merged their Jupiter with the local god Baal, creating a powerful fusion deity worshipped as Jupiter Baal. Construction of the awe-inspiring Temple of Jupiter continued under Emperor Nero, and later, under Trajan, the sprawling courtyard began to take shape. Emperor Antoninus Pius added the Temple of Bacchus, while the Severan dynasty finally inaugurated the entire complex, which included the Temple of Venus in the 3rd century. Imagine for a moment what it must have looked like at its peak. Towering columns, shining marble, and pilgrims flooding the courtyards. Could any visitor standing before these temples have doubted that they were at the center of something divine? But history is never static. As Christianity spread through the Roman Empire, Baalbek's role as a pagan stronghold began to crumble. Emperor Constantine's conversion in the early 4th century brought construction to a halt, and soon after, Emperor Theodosius destroyed pagan idols, dismantled the tower altar, and converted the sacred grounds into Christian spaces. The once mighty Temple of Venus was transformed into a chapel, and the hexagonal courtyard became a church. Even the Temple of Jupiter wasn't safe from being plundered. Justinian, the emperor of Byzantium, famously ordered 8 of its columns to be taken to Constantinople to decorate the Hagia Sophia. What does it say about Baalbek's magnificence that its stones were prized enough to be transported across empires to adorn one of the greatest churches of all time? By the year 637 CE, Baalbek fell once again, this time to Muslim conquerors. The temples, already repurposed by Christians, were transformed into a fortress, or qala, a citadel that gave the site its modern name, Qalat Baalbek. Over the centuries, the complex passed through the hands of different Islamic dynasties, each leaving their own imprint. The Umayyads, Abbasids, Tulunids, Fatimids, and Ayyubids all held it at different times, reshaping walls and towers, layering new stone upon ancient foundations. In this way, the site became a palimpsest, a place where one could almost read history in the stones themselves, seeing how every era carved its own chapter into the larger story. So Baalbek today stands as more than a ruin. It's a living puzzle, a place that has carried the spirit of countless ages. From the first settlers who saw the hilltop as sacred, to the Phoenicians who built their temples, to the Romans who raised their colossal columns, to Christians who consecrated it as a church, and Muslims who fortified it as a citadel, every group left something behind. Yet, one cannot help but wonder, who first lifted those gargantuan stones into place? Who decided that this hill would become a stage for gods, emperors, and conquerors alike? And why, after so many thousands of years, do these silent megaliths still hold the power to stir such awe and curiosity in anyone who looks upon them? Perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. But mysteries always invite theories. And when it comes to Baalbek, the first question on everyone's lips is the most obvious one. How on earth were those stones moved? Stick around, because as we dive into the competing theories, you might find the answers are just as fascinating and just as puzzling as the stones themselves. Let's dive into some modern analysis to see if we can separate fact from fiction and offer a realistic explanation for Baalbek's enduring fascination. We're talking scientific studies, architectural clues, and a healthy dose of myth debunking. Prepare yourselves, because some popular theories are about to face the music. First, let's tackle the elephant in the room. How did they actually move those mega blocks? The standard explanation, involving ramps, levers, and massive manpower, often feels inadequate. We're talking stones weighing upwards of 1,000 tons. That's heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 747. How can we be sure that the technology existed? And even if it did, was this really the right explanation? Well, let's dive in. It is important to note that most analysis today suggests that the transport of the Baalbek megaliths, especially those in the Trilithon, likely involved a combination of ingenious techniques and meticulous planning. Ramps, constructed gradually alongside the stone's elevation, would have been essential for moving the blocks from the quarry. These ramps, likely made of packed earth and smaller stones, would have required a significant amount of preparatory work. Think of a pyramid slowly built higher as the blocks were raised over the years. Now comes the tricky part: levers and rollers. Experts believe levers were used to inch the stones forward, one small movement at a time. Wooden rollers, placed under the blocks, would have reduced friction and facilitated movement, but these rollers would have needed to be extremely strong and perfectly cylindrical. To add to the complexity, evidence suggests that Baalbek's builders may have used water lubrication to further reduce friction between the stone and the rollers. This would involve wetting the ground ahead of the moving stone, creating a smoother surface. Let's not forget the people. Hundreds, possibly thousands of workers would have been required. Organized into teams, they would have hauled ropes attached to the stone, pushing and pulling in synchronized movements. Foremen would have directed the effort, ensuring the stone stayed on course. Given the scale of this project, the builders likely implemented a system of repetitive motions and precise directions, passing along instructions to make sure the entire operation ran smoothly. Importantly, the most recent research highlights the geological formations of the area. The location of Baalbek was chosen not only for its prominence, but also for its proximity to a quarry with readily available high-quality limestone. The quarry's location, slightly uphill from the construction site, would have allowed the builders to take advantage of gravity during the initial stages of transport. This means that, with careful planning and the right equipment, the downward trajectory could have been controlled and harnessed to make the movement more manageable. But there's a crucial detail that often gets overlooked: the in situ theory. This suggests that some of the massive stones were partially quarried and shaped at the construction site itself. Think about it. Shaping a 1,000-ton block near its final destination drastically reduces the transportation challenge. Rather than moving the entire mass from the quarry, they only moved a partially worked block. It's like assembling a massive Lego set, piece by piece, where you want it to be. Okay, so that paints a picture of how it could have been done. But what about those wilder claims? The ancient astronaut theories? The lost civilizations with anti-gravity devices? It's tempting to imagine these things, and it's certainly exciting, but let's apply a little scientific rigor. First, the alien angle. While the scale of Baalbek is undeniably impressive, there's absolutely zero credible evidence supporting extraterrestrial involvement. No alien technology has been found, no mysterious artifacts, and no inexplicable markings. The sheer complexity and precise nature of the stonework does not automatically imply extraterrestrial help. To propose aliens, you would need some kind of irrefutable sign. And in this case, there's nothing. Just because we struggle to understand the accomplishment does not necessarily lead to an alien explanation. What about the idea of a lost, super-advanced civilization predating known history? Again, it's a compelling thought, but the archaeological record doesn't support it. Baalbek's stratigraphy, the layering of archaeological finds, clearly shows continuous occupation and development through known historical periods: Phoenician, Roman, Byzantine, Islamic. There's no break in the sequence, no mysterious missing link where an unknown civilization could have inserted itself. Instead, what is more believable is that the area was developed and improved over multiple years, with numerous empires having influence over the area. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but what about the precision, the sheer size? Surely, that's beyond ancient technology. To that I say, look at other ancient engineering feats: the pyramids of Giza, the Great Wall of China, the Roman aqueducts. These are testaments to human ingenuity, resourcefulness, and the ability to achieve seemingly impossible feats with limited technology. Ancient builders may not have had power tools, but they had a deep understanding of engineering principles, and crucially, they had access to an enormous workforce. Let's not underestimate the power of organized labor and skilled craftsmanship. Furthermore, sometimes the impossible precision is a bit exaggerated. Yes, the stones are massive and the joins are tight, but they are not perfectly seamless. Close inspection reveals imperfections, tool marks, and slight misalignments. This isn't a criticism, it's a recognition of reality. Human hands built this, not robotic perfection. So, while the allure of ancient astronauts and lost civilizations is undeniably strong, the evidence simply isn't there. A more realistic explanation focuses on a combination of factors: skillful engineering, enormous manpower, ingenious techniques, and a strategic approach to quarrying and transport. It's not as sensational as the alien theory, perhaps, but it's grounded in evidence and logic. Ultimately, the enduring fascination with Baalbek isn't just about the stones themselves. It's about the mystery, the challenge to our understanding, and the reminder that even without modern technology, humans are capable of extraordinary achievements. It's about the human spirit, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, one massive stone at a time. And as we continue to explore, learn, and analyze, the story of Baalbek will undoubtedly continue to evolve. Maybe one day, we'll uncover even more secrets hidden beneath the Lebanese soil. But for now, let's appreciate the power of human ingenuity and the wonder of a place that continues to captivate us centuries after it was built.